Welcome back, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. I super appreciate it. This week, we're going to be looking at Undertale. This is one of the most unique RPGs I've ever played and was made by two people, Toby Fox and somebody else, and they did a fantastic job with it. I don't really think I need to talk much more to hype up the review and say how good this game is. Let's just check it out. Here's the review. Well, development of this game spanned 32 months, as the game was financed through crowdfunding, and after July 25th, 2013, that ended. Toby wanted to make the game be like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga or like Earthbound, as he had previously worked on Earthbound ROM hacks and showed how wacky some of his sprites can be, just like Earthbound's. The game was released on September 15th, 2015, under the name Undertale. The story begins in a post-apocalyptic world. After a war between the humans and the monsters, a human falls down a pit where these monsters live. After being confronted by this thing, upon traveling further into the cave, the human finds a very nice monster named Toriel, who teaches the human how to do puzzles, and that's about all you needed to know with this game. Eventually, the human wants to leave and finds the entrance to the Asgore caves. Toriel tries to stop the human, and after a while, the human heads to the caves, and the adventure begins with the logo coming up. Underground, the human meets several monsters, including Sans and Papyrus. I don't understand why Papyrus doesn't get as much love as Sans. He's just kinda misunderstood is all, and I really do like his humor. Sans is pretty cool and a nice buddy to have in the cave, but I like Papyrus, he's a great character. Anyway, the human makes it through the Undyne Forest and the Monster City, then gets to the head of the Royal Guards, Alphys. After escaping, the human makes it to the palace and on the royalty of Asgard, and after winning the battle, the human will have 3 separate endings. A fight with this turd, the humans and monsters live in peace with the pacifist route, and the genocide route is where you kill everything in sight. After this, the game ends, and that's how the story goes for Undertale. Now, I feel like one thing with this game is that this game was definitely made in RPG Maker. Man, what a completely creative idea. This has to be one of the best out of the box in terms of thinking creative ideas for a story I've ever heard in a game. Not just an RPG, in a video game. Now, I feel like with this game, one thing to mention is that it was made in RPG Maker. The only reason why I know this is I've used it myself. I think it is really cool and kind of special that he did use a tool like that. And for Toby Fox to have a team of him and one other person who made the artwork is very cool. And it only took them 32 months to make is awesome, and now the man is a millionaire. And I will say, story-wise, this is a very creative idea. Sure, I love the story of war and how the characters in some strange way care for the human. I mean, I don't get why there was a war, and besides, Alphys, who was just trying to do their duty, is very protective of the human, and I really do like that about this game's story. Now, getting into this right away, I love the 8-bit graphics. I looked at Retrobol and even said, hey, this is how 8-bit graphics are supposed to be, but I mean, this is the way they were supposed to be too, just in a different style. And this is something I can appreciate a ton. There's no genocide footage because, what? Do I look like a monster? So you don't really get equipment, you get basic money, and really the only thing you have here is to expose a weakness to stop people from fighting him. For example, the greater dog, you have to do things like play with the dog or throw a toy at the dog or something like that to get him vulnerable. He will stop fighting you at that point of the battle, and you can do what is called sparing. There are other methods you can do this with enemies in this game, but that's the name of the game. It is basically a turn-based RPG, but you are supposed to not attack but spare the enemies. But you see this thing right here? This is how you dodge attacks, and your goal is to survive these matters, and then you can spare them. Or you can attack the enemies like the monster you are, but I'm a nice guy. The only other thing to talk about, the music in this game is fantastic. I love the soundtrack in this game. Other thing to talk about is the music. The music is freaking fantastic. It's one of the better 8-bit soundtracks I've ever heard. Toby Fox composed it himself, and he really did a standout job with this. Other things is items. You get other items in the game, such as food and things like that. Standard RPG stuff. And I will admit also the fights are very unique as far as RPGs goes, but the overworld is standard. You have puzzles in this game, but they're very similar to Mario and Luigi. but I honestly thought about Wild Arms when I was playing this. I know more than one RPG can have puzzles, but the amount of puzzles really did remind me of Wild Arms. Well, I can't say anything more except the game's gameplay is very unique and it's really awesome. I think Undertale really did a good job of the balance that it has. You can choose to be a monster and kill people, or you can choose to be a really good guy and save people. I really do like the choices and the programming involved. This game is pretty awesome and I really enjoy it. Well, there isn't really much to say except Undertale is awesome. I really think this is one of the best RPGs out there and probably the most unique as far as art direction I've ever seen. The gameplay will have you hooked in no time. You should go get this game. You will not regret it. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next episode.